charged during the tour that all said it did 300 miles in a day of, LA traffic on the freeway, start and stop, and going up a decent grade on Highway 14. So pretty impressive.
Are any of these vehicles using supercapacitors to do regenerative braking?
They're not. They all have regenerative braking, but not necessarily supercapacitors. Yeah. And so here's a video I took while we were on the bus, just to show, it passing a diesel truck going up this grade. That's a question we get a lot. Is just the state of the technology is, can it compete just on a performance basis with combustion vehicles? And the answer is absolutely. BYD, this truck up here, they've used it for beverage delivery and some trial testing. And the driver that was, I think it was soda, I think it was Pepsi, was testing it. Drove the truck, opened up his load, the back, and all the bottles had fallen out because it accelerates so fast. So you actually have to turn it down a little bit. The electric vehicles, if anyone's driven a car, you know that they have a lot of pickup. So the other question.
Are there any of these trucks in the San Jose area that we could look at?
Very shortly, there will be some buses. So VTA, the transit agency here, is getting, I believe, a number, at least 10, 20 electric buses. San Jose Airport is getting 10 electric buses over the next year or two.
I'd like to take a look at them.
Yeah, they're great.
Look at the motors,
You're the motor guy. So the other question we get, of course, is, are these vehicles actually cleaner on a life cycle basis? The gotcha question is, okay, I get that they don't have a tailpipe, but what about the upstream emissions from producing electricity? And so this is an analysis that I did comparing transit buses, diesel, natural gas, hydrogen fuel cell, and battery electric on 2016 grid makeup in California. And you can see, quite lower with battery on today's grid. It's about 70%, 75% lower.
Does that include mining?
It doesn't include mining. It doesn't include the battery, the energy to make the battery. We've done that analysis for light-duty vehicles, and for light-duty vehicles, the payback period for the energy-intensive, intensive manufacturing with battery, depending on how much you drive, about a year. So after that year, you're clean. Yeah.
Where it shows fuel cells being twice as much pollution as a say a battery.
Yeah.
And yet, they're seriously looking at fuel cells as an alternative in California. So, for vehicles. So.
Yeah. What's the deal with fuel cells? Fuel cells. Actually, that's where that was my academic background, is chemistry and material science of materials in hydrogen fuel cells. That was in the mid-2000s. At that time, fuel cells were actually the technology I think a lot of people thought would be most widespread in light-duty and heavy-duty. Thanks in large part to consumer electronics on the battery side, made a lot of technological advances in battery chemistry that really leapfrogged what fuel cells were doing. The biggest benefit is cost. A battery electric bus is much cheaper than a fuel cell electric bus. The advantages of a fuel cell: fast refuel. So you can, fuel a tank of hydrogen for a bus in 10 or 15 minutes. So essentially equivalent to what a diesel or natural gas fill time is. The downside of hydrogen, and this tore me up, as a researcher, just most hydrogen today comes from natural gas. So there's still fossil fuel, and there's certainly the natural gas industry, to some degree, sees fuel cells as maybe a long-term play for their business. I think they'd much rather just sell natural gas as natural gas. But even if on a life cycle basis you're using all natural gas for your source of hydrogen, it's still cleaner than diesel or natural gas vehicle due to the efficiency of the electric drive of the fuel cell.
What about just combusting hydrogen?
That was a strategy early on in fuel cell vehicles. BMW had a combustion-based hydrogen car, but that hasn't had much traction lately. It's mostly the conversion of hydrogen to electricity, and you've driven in an electric motor.
I read studies of where you use hydrogen in an internal combustion engine. Unless the engine is built in a completely different way, you get a lot of deterioration because it's not the same kind of detonation that you get with fossil fuels.
Yeah, it's not different temperatures and whatnot. Yeah. And so one other thing to add on the fuel cells, California is far and away a leader on fuel cell, also a leader on battery electric. In the state's wisdom, somebody's wisdom, there's a law requiring 33% of hydrogen produced in the state to come from renewable resources. And so that's more than anywhere else in the country has. So it's kind of like a RPS. Our electric grid, we're not 100% solar and wind, but we still see the benefits of electric vehicles. So the same is true for hydrogen. The more hydrogen we can get from renewable resources, namely water, so electrolyzing water, the cleaner it is on a life cycle basis. So I guess to answer your question, fuel cells, AC Transit, the transit agency of the East Bay, Oakland, Berkeley, they have 13 fuel cell buses operating. They really like them for the fast fuel time, the 200-mile range. I've heard fleets, FedEx and UPS say, we see a lot of interest in battery electric, that maybe long-term they see fuel cells as being a bigger part of their vehicle portfolio, just because it is so much like the vehicles that they're driving today. You plug in a pump, fuel it, and you're on the road.
You don't get regenerative braking though with the hydrogen itself.
You would also, hydrogen fuel cells also usually have a smaller battery on board, not as big as full electric.
But the future of batteries is going to be John Biddeno's new battery, and also Visco's claiming the battery that can be charged in a minute.
Yeah, and so the battery chemistry stuff is a very exciting research area, and you would be on the research. People are talking about charging a passenger, vehicle in 15 minutes or less. That would negate a lot of the benefits of a fuel cell.
Within just a few years.
Yeah. So time will tell. Time will tell. A couple questions.
Yeah, one thing that's, I think, worth pointing out or worth looking at is something. There's a lot of people out there that are touting natural gas as being a bridge fuel, and that's not much of a bridge fuel to look at that chart.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
I was just going to add to the DC fast chargers. They're great when you can install them, but there's not always the PG&E capacity nearby. And so a lot of times, if you want to put a charger there, you're not able to without extensive build out.
Or if you have a solar farm with a DC charger.
Solar farm typically doesn't generate enough to supply the draw
You put
there.
batteries.
Yeah, then that would work.
Yeah.
That's a significant.
Gives you a good charge too, when you go DC to DC.
And so these are all great questions and kind of the nuts and bolts of how we reach, mass adoption of these cleaner vehicles. These are the questions we're faced with. Really the infrastructure.
Yeah, I would think that, you talk about being able to recharge the vehicle in a modest number of minutes, but like you're saying, the DC fast charger station, which is probably like 1/10 the power throughput capacity you're talking about, 1/10 or less. That's a pretty significant piece of infrastructure.
Absolutely.
And so if you're talking about a power transformation that's got 10x the capability of a DC fast charger, that's a serious piece of hardware.
So
you're hooking to the substation.
Yeah, the line I've used before is, if you want to fight climate change, become an electrician. So a lot we have to do to upgrade.
So I guess just that middle bar of the fuel cell being, higher, i.e. badder, than the ones on the right.
Yeah.
Is partly your assumption there, it's due to the law that mandates this minimum of 33% for renewables, but if that 33%, if you made it 50% like in your right-handmost bar,
Yeah, it would
then it would look better, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Are these lithium batteries?
Excuse me?
Are these lithium?
They are.
Have you had any fires?
I haven't personally. The lithium, you know,
You're burning up your batteries.
yeah, it's a reasonable concern for sure. I guess with all the fires that happen with combustible fuels in vehicles, that we're driving on pretty unsafe fuels right now.
It will change quickly.
So this, I want to show this chart. This is showing a map of the United States, just the benefits of an electric vehicle across the country. This is for light-duty vehicles, so just shifting gears for 1 second. So these are the miles per gallon equivalent if you're driving an electric vehicle on the different grids across the United States. And I share this in part because this is pretty recent data. My colleague just posted this 2 days ago or something. And so the very worst grid in the country, in Colorado, they have coal from Wyoming and some coal from New Mexico. They're at a 46 MPG equivalent, so almost like a Prius is the worst electric car. So very good news, and the grid is getting cleaner. A lot of stuff is set in motion. Previous administration, coal plants are being shut down and whatnot. And so the trends stay the same for heavy-duty vehicles, just different MPG equivalents. Here's another busy slide, but this is back to the question on costs. And so what's shown here are costs for electric buses. A lot of the work numbers I show are on buses because buses are public and there's public data on that stuff. So we have numbers to talk about. These bars show the total cost of ownership. So the purchase cost, the maintenance cost, the fueling cost, the cost for installing charging infrastructure. And this is comparing diesel hybrid, battery electric bus on PG&E's grid or PG&E's electricity rates, charged overnight, which is an important caveat, a natural gas bus, a battery bus on SoCal Edison's grid down south, LA Department of Power and Water in Los Angeles, and San Diego. And so the numbers, and the way I talk about it is electric buses are competitive, if not cheaper. Some of these numbers are, this is from the Air Resources Board. Some of these numbers are 2 years old by now, and the costs have changed. So you see on PG&E's grid, you're cheaper than a hybrid, you're comparable to a diesel, and the numbers are coming down. And there's a lot of state incentives out there that bring these costs down further. The cap and trade program, funding from that is being used $100,000 or more per bus as incentive funding to get these buses on the road. So that, if that were included, that drops this bar down here. And then as the battery costs come down, it's looking favorable. I don't quite say they're cheaper yet, but I say they're competitive. And a lot depends on your electricity prices and how you charge. If you charge overnight versus during the day, and whatnot.
That was the life cycle cost of each bus?
Life cycle, I guess it was totaling, around $1 million-ish.
What's the comparable for the cost of fuel?
$1 million-ish is like the round number. But yeah, diesel, $1.2 million, $1.2 million for the battery bus. And so purchase cost, rough rule of thumb, $700, $750 for an electric bus, which is a couple $100,000 more than a diesel or CV purchase cost.
What's a zero?
What's zero?
You build and charge $0?
$0. Oh, $0 probably for, let's see.
That's midlife.
Midlife. Yeah, there's
What's
no
that mean?
midlife. Combustion, diesel or natural gas, halfway through their life, they get a engine overhaul. and electric vehicles don't have that. So this is a really detailed analysis that the Air Resources Board did for buses in the state. The question again, back to acceleration, I showed the bus going up the hill in Southern California that we rode on. I just have a screenshot of this. I didn't link to the internet up and running. But this is comparing on the top Toyota's fuel cell truck and on the bottom a diesel truck. And if you find this video online, or the other way around, sorry, you see the fuel cell truck gets out of the frame before the diesel truck's like halfway through. It's pretty impressive. Here's some more numbers, some stats. I'll go quick. Buses are a lot quieter, electric buses. Similar acceleration times, if not better. The efficiency, this is really one of the big selling points for an electric vehicle, and where the emissions benefits come from, is the efficiency. So a rough rule of thumb, about 4 times more efficient at converting energy into miles in the ground. And the ability to climb hills, similar abilities to climb hills. California, we're in a good place. We're a hub for electric truck and bus manufacturing. This is, I was putting this together, and this is actually out of date already. There's more. So just in the Bay Area, Proterra is a bus manufacturer. Motive, they did that linen delivery truck. They do other types of trucks. Southern California, BYD is the big one. And a lot of startups that hopefully can catch this wave and have their finances work out and become profitable.
So they're actually making some of these in the neighborhood here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they are.
Why don't you give me their address?
EDI and Green.
Yeah, that's a
Green. That's in Stockton. EDI is this is Milpitas.
Yeah. I'd go
Maybe
visit.
the arrow is not the best spot, but. So where to electrify? Roger Bannister, sadly passed away. But I show this, there's maybe 1,000, 2,000 electric trucks and buses on the road in the United States so far. So we're in the infancy. I don't want to oversell where we are with the technology. But I think Sir Roger Bannister's miraculous feat in 1954 illustrates just the power of somebody doing it first and showing that it's possible and what can follow. And since then, thousands of people have broken 4 minutes in the mile. High schoolers have done it. I think that there's a parallel with technology, maybe Moore's laws and other. And some would say we're already there in other parts of the world. This is a bus fleet in Shenzhen, China, a city of 12 million people. They have 16,000 buses in this city alone.
Electric buses.
And they're all electric. You saw my website.
Oh my God.
Any guesses on how many buses, just total, that's diesel, CNG, are in the state of California?
Why don't we buy them?
8,000. You're close. 10,000. So this one city, so one takeaway is China has a lot more buses per capita than we do. But they also have all electric. So it is possible technologically. These buses, I'm sure, were given help from the government to get on the road. So there's all that comes with it. This was some good news. This is Metro in Los Angeles, LA Metro. They're the second biggest bus agency in the United States. They have about 2,000, 2,500 buses. A campaign that we worked on at UCS with other organizations, Sarah Club in LA was very involved, getting LA Metro to commit to all electric buses by 2030, and they did. They didn't start in that place, but we pushed them there. And now they're seeing benefits and actually going to try to get it by 2028 for the Olympics and beat the 2030 target. And so just how we got there, there's a lot of organizing, things that maybe some of you have been involved in, labor groups showing up, organizing outside the meetings, doing all the on-the-ground stuff. And so UCS, we contribute really the scientific analysis showing buses are cleaner, they're available, let's get them on the road. And our partners did a lot of the on-the-ground stuff. So here's just a snapshot of some transit agencies in the Bay Area. AC Transit, I mentioned, has these fuel cell buses. VTA is getting their first tranche of electric buses, which is really exciting. San Mateo Transit Authority also getting some electric buses. They just, like a week ago, announced they're ordering 10. The airport I mentioned has some.